Hello everyone, my name is Ajay and welcome back to the same topic again, which is identity and access management, which we discussed in our previous video. So today we are going to talk about users and group. So everything starts in AWS console with the root user. That is going to be the super user. And then you are going to define your multiple user based on role and responsibility and authority. Once you log in with your root user, you can see there is no user groups, there is no users, and there are two roles assigned, and those roles are basically assigned to your root user. In your left hand side, you can see under the IAM services, there's a users. When you click on the users, you can see the option you get add users. So let's hit the add users here. It's just not the one user, but you can add multiple users. Click on add another user and keep doing it. You can use or you can add multiple users. So I'm adding my three users, what we discussed earlier. One is going to be the Todd, another one is Tom and Seema. In the next, I need to decide what kind of access they are going to have. If they want to do something with the programmatic access, you need to check mark this. And then definitely they are going to have the console access just in case. Then you need to generate some sort of the password. Those passwords can be auto-generated or those can be custom password which you can create by yourself. There's the option show password so you know what kind of password you want to give. In my case, I want to keep this option auto-generated. Then you have an option require password reset. If you check mark, user must create a new password at next sign in. So it is up to you whether you want to go for this policy or you want to allow them to use the auto-generated password. Once you hit the permission, this is going to be the screen which is going to pop up, and you can see it is asking you add users to the group. Technically, in a business organization, you are going to have many users, so you are supposed to create group. Since here we are talking about the individual accounts, so I will not create any group as of now, and I'm going to simply create the users that too without any permissions. That means I'm just going to create the username and passwords, and these users not going to have any sort of permissions on the console. Next option is add tags, and that too it is optional. So whatever the usernames you're going to create, what kind of identifier you want to keep, that is up to you. At this moment, I'm not going to add any tag. Next screen is going to be review. Whatever the username you added, since we added three users, that too without permission, so it's very much self-explanatory. This user has no permissions, which is true. I have not given any boundary, any permission so far. How many users we added? We added three users, and these users are going to have access for the programmatic access and AWS Management Console. Password is going to be auto-generated. Require password reset no. Permission boundary is not set. Now you can hit the create users. User creation is success. Now you can see we have three users. This is a secret key for programmatic access. This is a password for the console. You can notify all these users by sending the email as well. There's a download CSV file. Make sure you download it just in case if these users they are not able to get the email or they don't know what is going to be the password. Then when you go back to the screen, those passwords are not going to be visible to you. Now when I go back to the users, I can see there are three users. Those were added by me. There's no group assigned. There is no MFA, multi-factor authentication assigned, last activity never, and password is 2 minutes ago, and active key is 2 minutes ago. On the dashboard side, we can see we added 3 users now. When we click on the user schema on my previous screen, you can see this page going to be the popped up. You can see the user ARN is this, creation time is this, and it is going to ask if you want to add some sort of permissions to this user. And then you're going to have the groups. Since we have not created any group, as it's not going to show any groups, then you have tags, security credentials, and access advisor. The next question comes, we created users. How these users are going to access to the console. So under the security credentials, you can see there's a link, console sign in. CMA can use this. So this is kind of the identify this number, what you can see on my screen. CMA can use this link to access the console services. And now on the bottom, you can see there is an access key ID, which we created. This is active. You have option to make it inactive as well. So next time when Seema is going to try to log into the console, she's going to use this URL. Since we downloaded this file, or maybe you can stay here on this screen to see the password. So let's get the password for the Seema and try to log in as a IAM user. Since we are logged in as Seema, let's try if we can launch any of the instance just to verify authorization and access rights for Seema. We all know it. While we created account, we have not given any sort of permissions. So let's try to launch it. So this is quick start, and I'm into EC2 instance, launch an instance. This is going to be the default image, which we see Amazon Linux. This is the image type, and this is a security group. And now we are going to launch an instance. While we hit the launch button, it is going to ask you to create the key pairs that is needed for the Unix machine. So let's hit the create key pair. Once we hit that, you can see on your screen, you're not authorized to perform these operations. That proves whatever the username and password we created, they don't have any rights on the system. When we click on the user schema, we can see there's an option to add permissions. Going back to our scenario, we want to give Seema a root access. So I need to make Seema and give the rights for the administration. So on the user schema, when you click on the user schema, you see the option you can add this user to a particular group. You can copy permissions from any existing user, or you can attach policies directly to the user. Since this is an individual account, I have not created any group, so let's add policies. In the policies, you can see there are policies which you can see AWS managed or by function. If you click on the function policies, you can see the administrator access. This is the access which we need to give it to SEMA. Let's check mark administrator access and hit the next review. In the permissions summary, we can see we added administrator access, and now it is asking you to add permissions. Once you add the permissions, you can see under the permission, SEMA has administrator access now. This time, when we are trying to launch the EC2 instance, it is not giving that unauthorized access warning. Let's try to verify whether SEMA has access for the IAM services. Just for the verification, we can see on the right hand side on the top, we are logged in as a SEMA. And when we click on the users, SEMA has access for the IAM services, which we previously had with the super user. The SEMA is now with the admin rights have all the access for the user. She can create users, she can manage user, etc. Now we are logged in as a super user, and let's try to create a group. So under the user group, you can see the option create groups. Let's hit the create group. I'm going to create a group with the name admins. So all these users under this group, they are going to have the administrator rights on the console. So I'm just going to add SEMA as administrator. Here on the screen, you can see you have filter options. So when you click on this, you can see you can search those policies by type, by path, or used as. So when you go by the type, you can see it's by job functions. So since we are going to assign CMI a role for the administrator access, this is one of the job function, and this is managed by the AWS. So let's hit the checkbox and create the groups. Now admins user group is already created. Under the users, when you click on SEMA, now you can see SEMA has got access for the administrator access, and she's part of one group. These permissions can be managed two ways. Either you individually assign users to the policies, or you can assign policies to the group. Assigning policy to the group is a recommended option, since you never know how many users you are going to have in your organization. And from manageability point of view, you must create the groups. Now we can see the permission which is assigned to SEMA as an individual user was administrator access. You can hit this cross and remove it, since there's a policy which is already applied to the group. The next video.